Hey guys, welcome to Scales 13. Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. I know my past 5 videos have probably been about my Ackie monitor. Today I'm going to talk about the collection as a whole and what my future plans are. So within the next year or two, I'm going to be looking to buy a house. With that being said, of course my reptiles are going with me, and my fiance and I have decided to create like a nature room. She wants like plants and flowers, like some nice um greenery in a nice little room, and I'm gonna put my reptiles in the room, and we're just gonna make it like a very nice like room to sit down and relax in and kind of like vibe a little bit. So with that being said, I'll have more room. So when I have more room, I actually want to give my animals an upgrade. Basically, just fulfill more of their needs and make them more comfortable in their environments. So this bulb is broken right now. That's why it's like that. Anyway, got to buy another one of those mercury vapor bulbs. I need one. All right, so as you guys can clearly see, there's a difference between Tiny Tim's tank and Gex's tank. His tank is a 20 long, which is the recommended size for a leopard gecko. Most places will tell you not to put a leopard gecko in an enclosure that is too large because it can stress them out, and they like having places to hide, and they like feeling secure. This one is a let's see, I think it's an Exoterra, but I think the measurements are 24 by 18 by 12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's accurate. And what I like about this tank is the bottom of it is raised, and it allows me to put a heating pad at the bottom. So there's a heating pad right over here. And just to make the air temperature a little bit warmer and make the overall ambient of the tank in the ranges where it's supposed to be, like low mid 80s, I have a low wattage heat bulb right here. See, it's very low wattage because I'm touching this thing and it's not even giving me any discomfort in my hands. That just bumps up the overall air temperature of the tank, so that way the air is nice and warm, along with the surface temperature, which he lays down on right there. So sometimes he'll sit on top of this little hide, sometimes he'll lay there and sprawl out and absorb the belly heat. Anyway, I want to have that same type of setup for Tim. Tim is a little bit larger, so I want to have something like that for him. And another thing I like about this tank is it's just a little bit easier for him to thermoregulate, because I can add more hides and different things like that, where this one's literally just one side to the other. This one gives a little bit more depth, so I can do a little bit more. So yeah, I want to get him in the same type of tank. Let's see, what's another thing? Oh yeah, it also has these vents that naturally take in air from the outside and actually have it go upwards. It says that in the video, but what it does is it actually helps the heat disperse better. And basically, I just want a better environment for him, so I'm gonna get him one of these, so that way these guys will have the same enclosure. Also, from doing a little bit of research and from going on Arcadia's website, I think I might have mentioned in another video, but leopard geckos are actually crepuscular rather than just being nocturnal. Nocturnal means that they come out in the dead of night. It means that an animal comes out in the dead of night. Crepuscular means that they're a dawn and dusk animal, which means that when the sun is coming up in the morning, when the sun is going down, that's when these animals are active, meaning that they might not be getting the same amount of UV of an animal coming out in the middle of the day, let's say like high noon, but they are getting a little bit of those remnants of that UVB from those little dwindling or rising rays of the sun. So they actually have a shade dweller bulb, and I want, once this guy is in a Exoterra, I want to hook up a shade dweller bulb in the back, just so that way these guys can get the UVB. Now granted, I might not be offering calcium with vitamin D3 anymore if I do this, just so that way I don't overload them with D3, but that's definitely something to look at in the future. Okay, so my Pueblo milk snake. I made a video a long time ago, about a year ago, when I first got the Pueblo milk snake. People were giving me a lot of suggestions. I was taking a lot of the things that were more commonly said and taking that into consideration. I was asking a lot of questions. Thank you for your feedback on that video. I got a lot more feedback on that video than I thought I was going to get. So thank you for that. I'm actually gonna upgrade this guy actually soon, and do some changes with the substrate and the heating elements and things like that. So yeah, like I'm going to move him right now. He's on cypress mulch. The cypress mulch is bone dry though, because I know these animals need to be in a dry climate. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch this out for aspen. And what I was thinking about doing is maybe keeping a little bit of cypress mulch just in the corner where the water bowl is, just so if any water spills over, I don't get any mold, because aspen does mold easily. And I just want to avoid having any of that in his environment. Okay, so that covers these three guys. So let's go on to the blue-tongued skink, who he was just here eating earlier. Okay, there's his tail. Awesome. So yeah, he's got a little mixture of some dog food and some veggies there. But this guy, he's in a 40 breeder, which is the minimum recommended tank size for an adult blue-tongued skink. He's doing all right in it, but now that he's fully grown, I can see he would definitely benefit from having more space. People who keep them in aquariums, who want to put them in larger aquariums, tend to move them up to like a 60 gallon tank versus keeping them in a in a 40 breeder. Now, what I'm looking for is a tank that isn't thinner than this. I think that 55s, I don't remember because I haven't actually been around one or measured one in a while, but what I remember is I believe a 55 is maybe an inch or two shorter than this, and what I want is something with the same footprint but another foot of space, so that way the animal will have more room to stretch out and there's more of an overall larger enclosure for it to explore and to give it more mental stimulation versus being in a very small area. So I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to use an aquarium because he's an Indonesian blue-tongued skink. He's not a Maruke. Marukes are the longest and largest of the Indonesian species. He's a Teligogigas gigas. And with that being said, he's not going to get too large, but the thing is, I want to make sure he can have the proper humidity levels. You know, northern blue-tongued skinks like their environment a lot drier than Indonesians. It's like night and day. And the thing is, that's why I have this tinfoil on top right now. It's kind of messy because I was messing around this tank earlier. But what I would basically do is just cover this whole thing with tinfoil, and it's doing an okay job. That's annoying. It's doing an okay job of keeping the humidity in there because it's covering a little bit more than half of the tank, but it's not doing what I want it to do. So what I'm going to do, let me cover this here for a second, just because I'm going around the house. Keep things pretty private. Hey, look who's out. Awesome. And what I want to do is I want to actually move him into the ceiling enclosure that I have for my wonderful Aki monitor, which you guys have probably been oversaturated with the past couple of months, because he's pretty much the only guy I've made videos about, because he's my first monitor. I'm very excited and I'm doing a lot of different things with him. You guys saw last video, I actually got a chance to hold him. I am not going to push myself to keep doing that with him because he did get a little scared here and there. And like I said in the video, he did urinate on me, and that's when I saw the hemipenes, which was a good thing because now I know he's a male. But at the same time, I don't want to overstress him by trying to overhandle him just because he allowed me to do it once. And he did act a little skittish after that, the day after I put him back in the tank. So I'm going to definitely make sure that I'm around the tank more, so that way he gets used to my presence even more than he is now. Right now he's pretty good, but once in a while when I come here, he does tense up just a little bit. So the main thing is I just don't want to be too pushy, because he's still only about maybe, I think he may have just turned 5 months old. He's between 4 to 5 months old, so he's still very young. So I'm just pumping my brakes and taking it easy with this guy. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is basically, of course, take the Aki monitor out, take all this stuff out, and redesign this for a blue-tongued skink. So that way he'll have the proper humidity requirements, and it'll be able to hold the humidity better than it does in the 40 breeder with the screen top that he has now. Now, with that being said, what do I do with the Aki monitor? Well, the Aki monitor, I'm actually going to... Sorry, thinking. I'm actually going to build a custom enclosure for the Aki monitor. I'm going to, let's see, what I want to build him is, right now this is a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. I want 5 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet. And what I want to do is make this lip here a little bit higher, like a few inches higher. That way he can get a full foot of substrate in there. I don't really want to make it much taller because this isn't an arboreal species, even though they will climb on downed trees and stuff like that. But you won't really find them up in the canopy of any trees and things like that. So with that being said, what I'm trying to add here is just more floor space, more horizontal space, so that way the animal will have more room to explore, especially since monitor lizards are very intelligent and they really like to explore their enclosure. They'll use all the space that you provide them, and they also need a lot of enrichment. So just so he doesn't get lethargic and bored, that's why I'm going to add this to him. He's obviously not fully grown yet, but I know he's going to get bigger. And when he gets bigger, this space will be smaller to him. So I want to give him something that I think will more readily suit him. Especially since this is the minimum cage requirement, they will appreciate having more space. Not emotionally, obviously. But what I'm saying is they'll use that space. That extra space isn't going to go to waste. And they'll definitely explore and run around and use whatever extra space you give them. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for this guy. Blue tongue skinks, compared to monitors, they're kind of like a mid-level. Like if you look at intelligence and how inquisitive an animal is, leopard geckos are kind of on like the lower end. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody who is really big on leopard geckos. I also don't mean to offend my geckos. Sorry, Tim. Hope they didn't tick you off. But I'm not calling them dumb in any type of way. I'm just saying that they're on the lower end of that spectrum, where the blue tongue is kind of like in the middle. They're very inquisitive, but they're not really as intelligent and as critical thinking as like a monitor is. And then, of course, when it comes to lizards, monitors at the top of the tier. But I do love all of these guys equally. And then my snake is just a snake. The snake just does snake things. But snakes aren't dumb by any means either. So yeah, none of these guys are dumb. Some are just more intelligent than others. But yeah, so that's my plans of what I'm going to be doing for my reptiles. And let's see, I'm definitely going to get a rack for all these smaller tanks, all these 20 longs. Definitely will go in one rack. I'll probably get a stand where I could put my blue tongue and my my Aki monitor after I build him a 5 foot, and then I'll give you his tank. Yeah, wow, this is gonna be really cool. And then probably have some cool plants that that my wife's gonna want to put in there. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, so we're thinking about all of this now. So yeah, it may be a long time and almost forgotten about by the time I actually do show you guys the reptile room after we get the house and everything else. But yeah, this is definitely something that's going to be in the works. So look out for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. And if you have any additional information that would help me or other people keeping reptiles anyway, definitely drop that comment. Don't feel nervous or like skittish about sharing. We're all trying to learn here and do better for our reptiles. So have a great day. Peace.